So I'm Stephanie Rearick, and I'm here representing the job creators. For real. And one aspect of that really is true is I'm co-owner of a small business, and you know that 90-some% of jobs in this country are created by small businesses. And that's who the job creators do tend to be, and I'm going to talk about our efforts to become all of us. We will all become the job creators, and we are going to create good work for ourselves. In this journey, I'm just going to say very briefly why I got into this line of work, which is I am co-owner of a small business, and I do original independent music, and I used to work for Greenpeace environmental organization, and I've been active in social justice issues, especially in our criminal justice system, and recognized many years ago that our economy is the problem for all of those, driving all of them the exact wrong direction. So I felt obligated to learn about how that could be turned around, because we all need that, as you know, that's why we're all here. So in my pursuit of understanding what could be done and what are the really core problems in our economy, I read a book called The Future of Money that I always recommend to people, but one of the key things that I learned is not only is debt a social construct, but money is a social construct completely, and the fact that we have allowed a situation where we work for our economy rather than having an economy that works for us is completely absurd, and it's not something that we have to accept. So in my explorations of these things, I learned about a lot of different things. So in 1995, I actually worked with John Peck and other people in this room to start Madison Hours local currency, to bring additional local wealth into the community. I can describe a little bit later how it works, but I'm going to be moving into some newer models. And that fit, it helped our small business. We got some carpentry work done that we wouldn't have been able to afford. We had customers coming in, some other fools who wouldn't normally be able to come in for coffee. But it just got at little tiny gaps in our economy, and I felt it was really essential to get to something more fundamental. And in my learning and in reading the book, The Future of Money, in particular, I learned about mutual credit and time banking as a form of mutual credit. So mutual credit, simply stated, is a group of people, individuals, organizations, however you choose to do it, gets together and we extend credit to each other. So our system isn't debt-based, it's credit-based. But essentially, anytime work needs to be done, a credit is exchanged. So if I teach a piano lesson to Dave, an hour of credit goes into my account for that hour that I spent, and he's down an hour, and then he can do a service for anybody else in the room. And that's time banking, that's that form of mutual credit. So in time banking, anytime you do something for anybody else, you just record the exact amount of time you spent doing it, and you get a credit for that, and they have a debit, and they go back and earn that with somebody else. So it just connects us in a big network where we can see the assets that people have to offer, and we get a sense of what the needs are in that community that's engaging in that. So we started our Dane County TimeBank here in 2005, and our vision was, again, when you're talking about small businesses being, part of this agenda or unwitting part of this agenda they don't like, one of the things that sparked me is just seeing all these different groups and people with really common goals and values are always pitted against each other for scarce resources, but really it's money that we're pitted against each other for. And we were really looking at bringing time banking into the community to help foster resource exchange and sharing and cooperation. And one of the things that we realized pretty early on is a lot of times people will start these kind of systems, so we refer to them as complementary currencies. So time banking is a form of currency, and just like the paper currencies that circulate. But we expect them to run in complement, as a part of the economy, that they can't fill every function. But one of the things that I realized is a lot of times we bring in complementary currencies in these other tools because we want a different way of living, and we want things to be more cooperative, and we want to be able to help each other out. But what we do is we just apply them to how we're already living. And so what we started doing is looking at how we can use time banking and apply it to changing how we live. People are always saying we would like to know our neighbors better and have a situation where we take care of each other better. What are we waiting for? Do you need permission to do that? A lot of times money serves as permission, and it also just sort of sets up our social dynamics. But one of the things that Timebanking does is it explicitly invites people in to share their assets with their neighbors and to share what their needs are with their neighbors and reduce the stigma of asking for help and start building an economy on that. And one of the things that Timebanking is very effective at is valuing work that tends not to be valued in the market economy. Things that are valued in the market economy are valued more highly when they're scarce. The things that are really core to having a healthy society, like caregiving and civic engagement and community building and creativity, those are very abundant. And so there's no reason to be looking to something scarce to facilitate exchange in those things. So we've been doing time banking here since 2005. We have nearly 3,000 members now. They've exchanged more than 70,000 hours. Kristen's running a program where we have TimeBank members providing transportation to people in rural areas who have to get to the city for kidney dialysis 3 days a week, and we're able to help people fill those needs within their community. We have a store in the Allied Drive neighborhood where people can get stuff dishes, books, toys, clothing, cleaning supplies in exchange for their TimeBank hours. We run a youth court restorative justice program in all 4 high schools now. Again, we all are appalled at our criminal justice system here and about the racial disparity, and that we have the worst racial disparity, and we're ranked at the bottom for children of color growing up here. Do we need permission to do something about that? It's healthy, intact communities and people providing the social supports, educational, economic, educational opportunities. That's not something the court can provide. It's not something the juvenile corrections facility can provide. It's something we provide as communities. So in the TimeBank Youth Court, when kids get in trouble, they come to a jury of their peers, and the jury sentences them to things in their community that they can do to serve their community, to pay back, but also things that can appeal to their strengths and interests and get them on a more constructive path. So just very briefly, because I don't have time to go into it, we're now in a phase where we're really working to kick it up a notch and connect time banking with some other tools that can complement, that can fill the gaps that time banking can't fill. For example, we can't use time banking right in our small business because it doesn't have a money equivalent and it's not taxable. But there are other forms of mutual credit that we can use in a business that we can pay taxes on. So we're going to bring that in. We're creating cooperative ownership structures that can manage and steward time banking and mutual credit as a commons. And then we're also bringing in cooperative saving, lending, and investment pools as one of the models. And we're calling them mutual aid networks. And the goal is to redesign work. We'll redesign our work lives, take into account that all kinds of work are valuable, that there are a lot of ways to be compensated for your work that can help you really meet your needs. Yourself and for your community. And so we really are working toward building a real solidarity economy where we're a network of co-ops that are all networked with each other. So no one mutual aid network would ever have an incentive to shop out work to Malaysia where there are low labor standards because we need to save money for our own mutual aid network. We will all be connected in a network of supporting each other, and the explicit goal is about redesigning work and providing the opportunity for everyone to discover and succeed in work they want to do with the support of their community.